Like you may have seen the WF, World Economic Forum, video they put out a couple of years ago that says by such and such time, I think it was 2030, you will own nothing and you will be happy. And basically, that I think is as full of garbage and trash as the Communist Manifesto was. There's so many errors and so much false thinking that it's nothing but lies and propaganda that they're hoping people will believe and get behind, support, which is ridiculous. But beyond just my opinion on it, look into it, please. So now that I've read lately, the WEF, the World Economic Forum, is proposing to end vehicle ownership. End it. No one has their own vehicle. And I think it will start out with combustion engines, gas-powered vehicles, and then after everyone's got their EVs or whatever else, not everyone, but most people have their EVs, that kind of deal. And then they can control it. They can shut it down. They cannot let them run. They can say there's an energy crisis, which they're already pushing, but they'll double down. They'll quadruple down. They'll 10 times, tenfold this, and say it's so bad that no one can charge their batteries except for such and such time once a month, maybe once every 2 weeks, and then you have to sign up and you have to be given permission. That you probably need to pay for permission, give them permission, so then you can access your energy, whatever you want to call it, the way to charge your battery, whether you're at a battery charging station or whatever it's called. That is their dream, and then once that's set in place and people got accustomed to that or doing that, then all of a sudden they can just shut it down, just shut you down. Control the vehicles, just not let you do it at all. So, are we there yet? No. Are we getting close? Absolutely. So, with that, this is just the car, the vehicle aspect. They're trying to prevent ownership of all things. all things. You'll own nothing. Okay? Prevent ownership of all things. And it will start little by little, which it has over the past. And we see that. And nudge by nudge, and then everything will just turn into a giant push and a slam. Just think of it as simple things, like computer programs. I don't know how familiar you are with Adobe. Adobe Creative Suite, so that's like InDesign, Photoshop, Illustrator, that kind of stuff. There was a time when you could purchase the disc, the CD, whatever you want to call it. You'd purchase it, and then you were okay to use the licensing for it for as long as you wanted, or as long as your computer was operational, or as long as it supported the software. And then as software advanced more and more and more, then Adobe advanced their programs more and more and more, they no longer supported the old stuff, so then you needed to either upgrade it, or upgrade little pieces of it, or extensions, or whatever you want to call it, or you had to upgrade the whole deal, the whole CS, or the whole Photoshop, or the whole InDesign, or whatever it is that you wanted to stay, up to date with. So you'd buy another CD, and this might last you a few years, and then you have to buy another one, a number of years down the road, just to get back up to date. That's how it always had been. Well, years and years ago, I want to say it's probably 2012 maybe, I remember hearing that Adobe was saying they're going to come out and they're going to start doing a membership style program. So then no longer will you have to buy a disc. No longer will you have to buy these programs for this huge amount. It was over $1,000 or whatever. Now you can just rent your access, your permission to it from the company for whatever. I think they started at $50 or $35 a month, and now I think it's more than that. So now you just can pay a monthly deal or pay yearly for your monthly access to it. That kind of stuff. So what does that do? Well, that says this person, whether it's a older lady, older gentleman who was in the business, whether they're a designer, if they were a writer, whatever they were, that now is no longer at an agency or at a company or whatever. They're like, okay, I'm gonna semi-retire, but I'm still gonna work for some clients of mine that I've known over the years, or help some family members or whatever it is, or the local church that I belong to or whatever. I'll still help them. And I can do that because I have all these programs I've purchased, and I don't need the latest and greatest and the most up-to-date. So that's what they had done, and they'll just sort of make a living through that, or help charity or whatever it is they're doing, the nonprofits, using that. Well, now, just with this little example, now they got to pay at least $50 a month to have this access to, when they're not making money off it, really. It's a side little deal, and it's not a side, money-making business. It's just a side little thing almost a hobby. Now, no longer can you, unless you pay us monthly for this, or pay us permission for these programs, this access to it. Yes, this might seem like, it's a ridiculous example, but that happened. And I remember I was against it back when it started being implemented and talked about, almost 10 years ago, or over 20 years ago. And now you look at it. Now John Deere's done the same sort of thing. If you buy a new John Deere, what I've seen is you no longer have the right to work on that and change that, or bring it to a shop that's not John Deere certified, or bring it to somebody else to have that changed, or have something, updated or upgraded or fixed on it, because it is no longer 100% yours. You no longer 100% own that item. That's what they're pushing. That's what they want to do with the vehicles. That's this whole EV push, is they absolutely like that. If you have a gas-powered vehicle, you have freedom. You have potential for freedom, for whatever you want. I've said this before, you can fill up as many jerry cans as you want to fit in the back of your vehicle, the back of your truck, whatever it is, and drive off. And you don't have to worry about stopping to recharge, so you have to stay the night or the day there, the afternoon or the evening or whatever, afternoon and evening. so it can charge up so you can finish your travels, or you're just trying to go from a few states over to visit relatives or whatever the case is. You no longer have that freedom when that's here. Along with, what happens when the thing breaks down? You don't have these neighbors that have grown up working on these EVs, and they have the wherewithal and the knowledge to fix these things, if they even can fix them. So now you got to pay. You got to pay for a dealership, you got to pay for this, you got to pay for that to get these fixed, let alone the price of these batteries. If you got a battery that goes bad, and stuff goes bad, brand new stuff goes bad. You got a battery that goes bad? It's not cheap. I mean, we're talking, I think the last numbers I looked at was $27,000 to $30,000, $35,000 or $38,000 for a battery. Because the whole bottom underneath is a battery. Beyond it being a major fire explosion hazard, which it is, just think of that, the cost of that. That's just to get it, let alone get it replaced, installed, all that kind of stuff. And then what do you do with the old battery? Do you have to pay for that to be disposed of? I'm sure you do. That's going to be a huge charge on top of it. But anyway, so they're trying to get rid of ownership. And that's trying to get rid of housing ownership. Look at BlackRock, what they've been doing, trying to buy up all these communities and these single family homes, that kind of stuff. And then, you know what? You can rent it back from us, type of deal. And that's what the government's going to be pushing too. I would almost guarantee it. How about self-food production? You see this. They're trying to shut down farmers, and they are shutting down farmers. They're wanting to jail farmers. They're wanting to charge them tremendous amounts, $250,000, and then threaten them with years in prison on top of it. So no longer can you do self-food production. That's what they're striving for. And on top of it, well, if you're, depending on where you're at, if you're in California, you can't collect rainwater, and then you can't use your water for the garden because you can't have a garden in California in certain areas. You can't even have potted plants. So what kind of freedom do you have there? So they're trying to stop food production. Individual water access. California especially is doing that too. So no water access, whether it's for the garden or not. Just trying to shut down your individual water access. I know some stories I read where even people who had wells, California, they're trying to put in legislation and trying to figure out a way to tax and charge you for the water that you're getting from your well. That's water control. That's limiting water access. And how about music and movies? I know it doesn't seem like a huge deal, but entertainment is huge for people. I mean, it's arts. The arts are what really sets trends and sets people, and it helps people, and brings back memories for people. Think of a song you heard 20 years ago, one of your favorites. Doesn't it bring back some memories when you were a child, or when you were in your 20s, or when you were in your 50s, or whatever, depending on your age? Or the songs from your wedding, or the songs from your graduation, the songs from your children's graduation, or the songs from this or that. That brings back memories, which is fine. And they're trying to take away your control and access to it. How? Well, you say, well, there's Spotify, and there's this, and there's that, and all these things, and there's Amazon, and there's Apple Music, that kind of stuff. So all we have to do is just pay for a membership, or a monthly fee, or a yearly fee, and then I can listen to whatever I want all the time, anytime. Whenever I feel like I don't have to bulk around all these CDs or these back in the day cassettes or whatever it was, then it's just there. Well, you know what happens? They have banned books, some real physical books. They banned them before. I own one of them. It's called Federal Mafia by Erwin Schiff. And they banned some physical books. They banned some physical movies and some physical CDs. So what's going to be out there that's saying it's on Amazon if you own these, I say that in quotes, or a Hulu, or, whatever else. You own these things, so you purchase them. You paid for this music. You paid for these movies. To say, what, no longer is this approved language, or no longer is this approved, scenes in these movies. No longer is this approved. So now we're going to limit, we're We're not going to let you watch these. We're not going to let you listen to these. Or first, better yet, we got to edit these before you can hear them again. Just like Walmart happened. Yeah, you can buy whatever kind of music you want from Walmart for the most part, but Walmart edits it, takes out swear words, takes out cuss words, takes out words and language they find offensive. They've been doing this for many, many, many years. So anyways, there's that. These are just a small example, and it's just going to keep going. They're trying to take away your control, because if you don't have control, who has the control? Well, they do. Who's they? I've been over this before, but who's they? They are at the very top. They're the ones with a vision to, all right, I'm one of the elites. I'm one of the very tippy tops. And what we got going on here is between us, there's thousands of us or hundreds of us at the very tippy top. And what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling is there's 8 billion people on this planet that aren't doing what I want them to do. Some are, most aren't. And I want them to do what I want them to do when I want them to do, because I want to be able to control them. So then hopefully I can enslave them somehow so they can be focused on board to just strive to make themselves better, quote unquote. In essence, it's just keeping them controlled so there's no resistance, and I can get across what I want to get across and live the king life, the queen life, like I wanted in my family, dynasty lives that we have to do nothing really, because all our peons, all these 8 million people are doing whatever I want to do at every lock and step, because I've convinced them, or I've threatened them, or I've charged them fees, which are taxes, or whatever else it is. I've taken out people they love, that kind of stuff, or because we've depopulated, or because the population has gone down for whatever reason. Now there's a lot less people to have to worry about and have to control. Just something to think about. So as you can probably tell with inflation, and soon to be hyperinflation here in America. Hyperinflation's been in Venezuela, Argentina, Zimbabwe, that kind of stuff. But everyone's wealth is disappearing. And who suffers the most? The poor suffers the most. The poor pays the most. Not the most in amount, the most percentage. They're the ones that get harmed the most. And then the middle class, that kind of stuff. So in the end, everyone else's wealth. Everyone else. So everyone but the tippy tops, the politicians, that kind of stuff. Everyone else, all their wealth disappears for the most part. 401ks, IRAs, pensions, anything in savings is worthless. They have no spending power. And they own nothing. All right? That's the goal. So if they own nothing, somebody's got to own everything. Or a group of people have to own everything that there is, because that's just how it works. And then the ones that own everything are in control. So the ones that own everything will dictate and decide whether you can eat, whether you can sleep, where you can live. I mean, everything, down to what you can wear for the most part. It might sound ridiculous, but you know what? It's happened, and I fear it's going to happen. To that level, maybe not for that specific item, but it's going to happen. Unless people stop going along with this and share this stuff, share these messages, get this out, get talking, get some dialogue going, and wake some people up. That's what we need to do. And maybe they're awake, but they're following along. They're the problem. I don't care if you know you shouldn't be doing this, but if you're doing it, you're the problem. So everything else in life that's essential will not be in your power or your control. If you own nothing, it's going to be in theirs. So you got to always make sure you have assets. Assets, the whole wealth. Whether it's gold, silver, land, house, shelter, that kind of stuff, water access, medicines, food. You've got the skills to garden. You've got the knowledge to garden. Are you gardening? If you don't have the room for it, are you just doing something in your apartment? Potted, whatever it is. So I know I've been over this before, but it just doesn't slow down. It just seems to be getting more and more and more while they're distracting more and more people with other stupid stupid things, people take their focus off the essential, the basic thing that they need to be protective of and they need to be watching out for, which is their family and their lives and their future generations. But anyways, thank you for watching this. If you like this, like, share, subscribe. And as always, stay vigilant with yourself, with your family, with your health, and protect your life.